Hello everyone, this is Donna Spencer from Lucre Journeys with you today talking about the beautiful port of Tortola. There it is, Tortola. Anyhow, it's a British Virgin Islands port, and Tortola, it translates from Spanish into turtle dove, for those of you like myself that didn't pay attention in Spanish class and kind of struggle a bit. Standard currency or marketing preference is all major credit cards and the US dollar, the good old US dollar. Banking options are in many locations, often right on the corner with multiple ATMs readily available. There are fees though that still apply, just like here in the States. There is little to no bartering. You can try, but the market sellers and owners are not really willing to lower their price. They seem to have a really good handle on the tourism market down there, and they understand what they've got. So unlike some of the other ports that'll allow you a little wiggle room, they don't tend to be willing to do much in regards to bartering at all. Although the largest of the British Virgin Islands, Tortola is only 3 miles wide and it has no rivers on the island. Road Town is the capital, and it's the port that the cruise ships come into. If I understand the history correctly, originally you had to tender in, but they've since upgraded and built a lovely pier that the ships just come right up alongside and dock that allow you to get up and get off the boat and walk. Although the British Virgin Islands are in the tropics, the climate is extremely mild and very pleasant, with highs around 78 or averages about 78 degrees with very low humidity. Now this is all due to some northeast trade winds that come along and kind of keep everything very comfortable. Hurricanes do occur, but once every four hurricanes on average every century. So I'm not necessarily sure you need to worry about the hurricanes. However, you do run a very good risk of experiencing a 3 to 5 on the Richter scale earthquake, as those can happen almost daily, sometimes a couple times a day. However, at the time of this video and our visit, we had not actually experienced an earthquake while we were there. The terrain is extremely hilly and mountainous, with the soil very thin. It only can support some bush-like trees and other shrubbery that is small and robust like that. Although it has little to no commercial value, there are some woodlands in the area that support a wealth of various kinds of small game animals and birds of fowl. On this island grows the white cedar, which was named the official tree of Tortola, and its flower that blooms on this tree is the official flower of Tortola. You do have the ability to get your passport stamped. You just need to get to Waterfront Drive to the International Lounge. Next to the International Lounge is an information booth where they display a number of various magazines and pamphlets that go into a lot of the tourist information in the area that you could pick up there. There are a number of local pharmacies in the area. One of them is actually right in the Pier Park area, where you can go and get all the various first aid items that we've discussed before, the sunscreens, the aloes, the hygiene products, and things like that. There are a number of pharmacies outside the Pier Park area that you could walk to if you felt the need. And there's a very nice one on Waterfront Road that we visited. There is also a emergency first aid medic station in the Pier Park that you could get to if for any reason you couldn't get back to the boat and you needed immediate care. The restrooms are very clean and evenly spread. On the inside of the Pier Park, the restrooms are extremely nice, very updated, and even air conditioned. On the outside of the Pier Park, they're still very nice. They're not air conditioned, but there's plenty of ventilation, and they're really rather clean. They are clearly marked and very easy to find. There really isn't any beach or pool access that you could easily walk to off of the ship unless you purchased an excursion. And there are no real children's play areas either, although while we were visiting, they had set up an ice skating rink slightly off to the side in this field that was next to the main building of the pier park, but that was extra cost. I do feel it necessary to point out that in Tortola, in Road Town, it is illegal to smoke in any public areas. Where they want you to smoke, I'm not sure, but the signs are everywhere. It is illegal to smoke in Road Town in public spaces. There are also a wide number of vehicle rental locations that are still within the pier area that you could walk to rent a vehicle and drive around freely. They do not require unlike places like Amber Cove, there are no security checks with gates and fences that you have to go through. They do allow free access to the island for you to move around on. Tortola or Road Town is not necessarily a walking port. You can get up and walk around, and there are plenty of things to see and do. There is a small market that sits on the corner of Waterfront Road, and I've forgotten the other one. I'll have to add it in later. And with plenty of individuals that you can interact with. This gentleman you see here actually does the paintings himself on site, and he is actually behind the main line of straw booths, and I indicated that I would give him a little bit of a shout out because I really did appreciate the talent and work that he had put into some of his paintings. As you're walking around, you might happen to notice these very peculiar sidewalks. They're like concrete benches almost, with large, square, hollow parts in the end that look like you could drive a 4x4 into. They also tend to kind of shift a little bit as you're walking along them. Well, my husband, being an architectural engineer, interior drafter, I stopped him to ask. He didn't think much about these sidewalks, but I was very curious about these sidewalks, and so I asked him about them. What did he think they were? And he proceeded to tell me that their conduit for their utilities and their electricity go under this, and then if there's an issue, they can just pick up the sections that they needed to get to it. But otherwise, it's completely safe under this hollow sidewalk. Well, sure enough, I looked around and I realized I wasn't seeing any telephone poles, any electrical lines, none of that. And I thought that was just the most amazing thing. So as you're walking around, you are most likely going to come across these very peculiar sidewalks that wiggle when you walk on them, but it's really nothing more than the conduit to support and shelter all of their utilities. So while returning to the ship, this is one of those hidden gems. I was very, very excited to discover it. But while returning to the ship, I happened to look down over the bricks we were walking on and realized that there were reoccurring signs and names on a number of them. And I didn't think much about it at first. I thought those are company logos and company names from the people or the companies who built the bricks or made the bricks. And so I kept going, but then I realized that there was a number of bricks that looked like they could have been limestone. The history of this area actually predates some colonial activity, so I realized that some of these bricks might actually be that old. So I went to the information booth and asked the young lady there if she could tell me anything about these bricks. Well, unfortunately, she had no idea. She admitted she hadn't even really thought about it, and so she directed me to the port manager's office in the hopes that maybe the port manager could give me a little more information about these bricks. Turns out she could. She told me that the bricks had been upcycled from hideouts that they had taken apart whenever they came across the pirates or other organized criminal activity areas. They would, after clearing everything out, they would dismantle the hideout. She kept using the phrase hideout. They would dismantle the hideout and decided to upcycle these bricks, understanding the age of these bricks. Some of them did date back quite that far. and it gave this area this really nice historical look. Well, that got me all kinds of excited, and so I squatted down to get a better look at a number of them and to take some footage. And sure as shooting, by the time it was all done, my husband was chuckling because he's sitting over there in the shade, and I've got about 5 ladies all standing around or squatting down paying attention to these bricks. And I got to tell them this story that I'd found out about these seemingly mundane bricks that nobody realized had that kind of a history or story behind them because, well, they were bricks. Nobody was thinking to look. So I guess one of those hidden gems, don't be afraid to ask about what's under your feet. You might actually get some pretty cool responses. I'm like, this is a very interesting sidewalk. Really? Oh, I can't win. To Tortola. Start that again. Let's start over again. That's what I get for not paying attention in Spanish class. I'm here today to talk about... I need to come up with a script. I just need to come up with a script. Oh, it's going to be a long morning if we can't get past the beginning. Hidden area behind... Really? Oh, good, got through that part.